So this one's called Better Bicycles Limited. BB is a family-owned small business. The firm manufactures bicycles which are supplied to independent retailers. So their selling part, they don't have their own retail shops. Rather, they sell it to other companies, other stores who sell their product through their stores. Recently, Leah, the sales director, has reported 20% fall in monthly sales. So things aren't exactly going well for the company. They've seen a reduction in their revenue by 20%. She has asked the other directors for ideas to increase revenue. And this will be a big part of the case study, the ideas that they have to present to increase revenue for the company. The managing director, Munib, has suggested BB should open its own retail shop. So that's the first manager, whose name is Munib. He has suggested that we should go into retail ourselves. We do the production. Now it's also time to open up our own store, Better Bicycle store, and sell our own cycles ourselves. Muni believes that BB has poor inventory management. Now he has highlighted the problem in it. Maybe they're not selling it quickly enough, and that's what's causing this delay in revenue. BB currently uses buffer inventory control method. Now, if you remember the inventory control chart, the stock control chart, we learned the concept of buffer inventory there. There's been a buildup of inventory that is using warehouse space that could be converted to a shop at a cost of $180,000. So there's clearly stock pile up, and they can use that space for maybe convert that space into a shop for a cost of $180,000. He estimates additional yearly cost of operating the shop of $40,000. So your overheads के बाद होगे $40,000 on an annual basis they'll have to pay for that shop. Munib has provided the following information in table 1, that we can sell the price for $300. We can sell the bicycle for $300. The cost of making that per unit, the sale, would be $120, and we expect to sell 1,250 units and annually if we open up our own retail shop. So this is the first proposal from the managing director, Munib. John, the operations manager, thinks it would be a mistake to open a shop. Now he's of the exactly opposite view, as they have no experience in retail sector. So he believes that trying something new, diversifying into something that's not necessarily their expertise, is not the right thing to do. He thinks that sales could be increased through the existing channels of distribution. So the existing channel of distribution was selling it to other independent retailers, and he believes that if we push the sales more through those retailers, then we may be able to increase our revenue again. John believes that the salaried staff in sales department are not motivated to find new independent bicycle retailers, as they rely on customers who have bought from BB for many years. So they are suggesting that the sales staff is lazy, and they're still relying on their old clients to continue to order product from them. The important thing here is they mention salaried staff, and maybe the problem is being given a salary, because if you're given a salary, then you're guaranteed a certain amount every month. Then you may not be motivated to sell more when you're guaranteed कि आपकी fixed salary आ रही है. So you will have to suggest an alternative to this, that how sales staff could be motivated if their payment structure was changed, or through other means, how could it be improved. Moving on, Leah thinks that BB should produce a new design of foldable bicycle which would be lightweight and portable. So now they're going out on a limb, meaning they're trying out something completely new. They want to produce a foldable bicycle. Okay. Secondary research shows that this is a growth market with customers prepared to pay a premium price for a well-designed foldable bicycle. So this will allow them to increase their revenue by charging a higher price. Leah estimates that an investment of $225,000 will be required, but the gross profit margin is forecast at 50%. So they'll save half of it from after paying the direct cost. Remember, gross profit only looks after the direct cost of business, and with additional annual revenue of $500,000. So there's clearly a direct effect on the revenue of the business, which is currently falling by 20%. Munib India have been asked to present their proposals for increasing BB's revenue to other directors who will then make a decision. Okay, so that's the case study. We're getting an idea of that this is the bicycle company and they are facing some problems with their revenue. They're not able to sell enough, and they've asked these three directors or these three people to suggest what could be done in response to it. One of them suggested that they should convert their factory space into a retail store. The other one said that we should push through our current independent retailers to get more sales. And Leah, who's the I don't know what she looks after, but I guess marketing, because she suggests that they should come up with a new bicycle design, a foldable bicycle, which will definitely be targeted towards a niche. Since they're charging a premium price, not everybody would want to buy a foldable bicycle. So this will allow them to charge a higher price, but it will also come at a higher investment cost for the business. So let's look at the questions. The first one is, define the term secondary research. Now, research, you will recall from marketing, is done by the marketing department to get an understanding of the internal and external factors that will affect the marketing or the sales of that product. So often secondary research which is conducted is also known as desk research. Okay, secondary research, remember primary and secondary, there are two types of research. Primary is called first-hand research, where the company goes and collects data themselves. So questionnaires, focus groups, all those things are examples of primary research. Secondary research is what we call desk research. It's where data already exists on the internet, in newspapers, magazines, articles, wherever you find information from, the data is already existing, and a company has to interpret it so that it can be used for their own purpose. You can use the examples here that, for example, internet or magazines, okay, or publications, especially by the government. All those would be examples of sources of secondary research. But you must, of course, it's a 2-mark question, 2 points, and you must explain the fact that it is from existing data and it has to be interpreted by the company so that it can be used for their own purpose. Because whoever would have done that research would have done it for a different purpose. And it's up to the company to find the relevant information from that data and use it for their own purpose. Okay, so that's secondary research. The next question is, explain the buffer inventory control method of managing inventory. Now, if you remember a little bit, let me just draw a diagram for you to give you a reminder. We used to discuss stock charts, and it would always have a minimum level and a maximum level. This is the range that the company would give itself that it needs to work within. And the stock chart would be something like this. And it gets used, goes down, gets reordered, replenishes again. But all the while, the company will want to give itself a little bit of extra stock, just in case it doesn't get delivered on time, just in case some of it gets spoiled. And for that reason, they will give themselves a bit of a cushion. And that cushion is known as buffer stock or buffer inventory. Okay, this green part here at the bottom. And that's what you had to highlight. What that means. So buffer inventory, keep a planning process for a business that keeps extra or reserve stock or extra inventory in their business or in the factory. It is why do you need to keep extra? Of course, used in shortage period. What if there's delay in delivery? What if suddenly there's more orders to be fulfilled? What if the some of it got wasted and you need to replace it. For those reasons, for those when there will be shortages in period, you'll be able to use these reserves that you keep. And why should you keep these reserves? So that you avoid any loss of sales. You don't want to lose out on any potential sale that comes your way. So to be able to serve them, you should have extra inventory at all times. That's what buffer inventory. Another reason you give, what if the supplier is late? So you can give different reasons for needing buffer inventory, but explaining in these 2 points that keeping extra, used in shortages so that you don't lose out on sales, that's very important. You can use the diagram in your answers. You can definitely use that, but it's not mandatory, but you can use it if you want. Okay, now going back to B part 1, which is a calculation question always. Refer to table 1.1. So they've clearly told you where to look for the information. Calculate the forecast gross profit on the retail sale of bicycles. Okay. So as always, just highlight things. Forecast gross profit margin is what they want you to find out for what? For retail sale of bicycles. And all of that is given in table 1.1. So let's look at the table first. Looking at the table, we're given the unit price, we're given the cost of sales or cost of goods sold, and we're also given how much you expect to sell. So quantity is given, price is given, cost is given. If you remember your income statement, it always starts with your revenue, which is your price times quantity. From that, you deduct your cost of sales, which is cost times quantity. When you deduct revenue, when you deduct cost of sales, you get the figure known as gross profit. And once you get the gross profit, then you can find out the gross profit margin by applying it to the formula gross profit divided by revenue into 100. And that's how you will have to do this. So let me just show you exactly. Okay. Now, gross profit margin, as we know the formula to be gross profit divided by revenue into 100. But before we can get to the formula, we need to find out the gross profit for the company. And gross profit is revenue minus cost of sales or cost of goods sold. They're the same thing. Revenue we know to be price times quantity. Cost we know to be cost times quantity, right? Whenever quantity changes, it has an effect on revenue and cost by the same, because output the same दोनों के लिए change होगा. Simply what I'm doing now is I'm calculating gross profit. So revenue, price times quantity minus cost times quantity. When you fall for this, I get the gross profit of 225,000. I plug it into the formula. GP gross profit margin is 225,000 divided by my revenue came out to be 375,000 times 100, and it gives me a gross profit margin of 60%. Even if you have to calculate the gross profit before the margin, it's just one simple step that leads you to the real answer. So it's not going to be too tricky as long as you understand the processes right, the steps that have to be taken. And by following this as we did for this one, we get a gross profit margin of 60% for the business. Let's go back, see what the second part of the question is. And the second part, which is always theory, asks us to explain one function of John's role as operations manager. Okay, now we discussed, John was discussed in this part that he thinks opening a shop would be a problem. He thinks that he should push the current retail channels and push the sales staff. But at the end of the day, he is an operations manager. And they want you to find out how the operations manager will be important in this situation. First of all, operations is all about the production process, and when it comes to operations, you automatically think of increasing efficiency, increasing productivity, while decreasing costs and decreasing wastage. Okay, that's the goal of the operations department. So it should all be towards that. And when John is suggesting to the business what they should do, his role as an operations manager is going to be very, very important. In the case study, they told us that the business uses buffer inventory control system. And inventory is under the hold of the operations department. It's the operations department that has to determine how much inventory is needed, when it is needed, when should it be ordered, what quality should be ordered. All those things are decided by the operations department. So John, who is an operations manager, one of the core roles of his job would be to manage inventory. Especially important because you have a buffer inventory management system. You have to maintain a certain buffer so that in case there is a shortage period, you can use that. So unless he's on top of his game, unless he knows how to manage them properly, they won't be able to meet those demands, and those sales will be lost as a result. So his job, his role as an operations manager is very important because the core, the inventory, which is a very, very illiquid asset, and it can have a detrimental effect on the business's profit. It is very important for him to manage it accurately. Also, you could refer to one of the Mintzberg rules जो हमने HR में discuss करें, that as an entrepreneur, he needs to come up with new production methods, new ways to improve efficiency, reduce cost, minimize the cost of holding inventory. Remember, if you hold too much inventory, it may go obsolete, warehousing cost, insurance cost, it might get stolen. All those things are real fears and real risks of holding more inventory than needed. And as an operations manager, John should be managing that much, much more carefully. As an operations manager, he can also be a motivator for his staff, to motivate them to find the most efficient way and to find to make sure that the quality is exactly as promised to the customer. To motivate everyone to work towards it could also be one of the roles of the operations manager. But the roles of motivation are for all managers, right? Find something that is more specific. So like entrepreneurial man, new production ideas is something that an operations manager would definitely have to undertake. Okay. Now, part C. Analyze two methods which could be used to improve the motivation of BB's sales staff. Okay, so clearly the problem that John highlighted, that the sales staff are not motivated enough, they were asked to address it, and you're asked to find two methods. Okay, if they ask for two, you want to give three, that's fine. Three, that's it. Don't go too much beyond what they have asked for. 3 well written ones are much better than 4 okay written ones. So concentrate on quality as well as the right quantity. Maybe a little bit more is fine, but the quality of the answers should always be there. So they have asked for 2 methods that could be used to improve the motivation of sales staff. So this is the link that they want to see in your answers. Methods, motivation, sales staff. And if you read here, John believes that the salaried staff in the sales department are not motivated to find new independent bicycle retailers, as they rely on customers who have bought from BB for many years. So clearly they've just been sitting, not making any effort for any new clients. They're just relying on the old ones, continue to buy the product from them every year. And that's not a good way to lead your sales efforts. So as a result, you have to find ways to improve their motivation. And if you remember from class, sales teams are the commission payment system works best for the sales team, because commission ensures that the more you sell as a salesperson, the more the company will benefit, and the more you sell as a salesperson or employee, the higher your payment is going to be as a result. So it's the right way to motivate sales in any company. So instead of this being a salaried staff, maybe they should be given a commission based pay structure. Of course, a little bit of basic salary should be given, but most of their payment should be based on a commission system where they're trying to sell more to increase their salary, and at the same time the business is also profiting from those efforts. So that's one of the methods you have to explain too. I'm gonna skip to that. So yeah. So it was easy to highlight that commission based pay is the most obvious way to improve the sales efforts for the company. Whenever you start any of this, you explain what it is. So a commission is based on sales. It is a percentage of the sales amount given to the salesperson as payment. So explain that use material from the case study as application. So sales is down by 20%, the customers are getting lost. So all these are matters that need to be resolved by the company. Okay, no new business is being sought by the sales team. So mention all those points in your answers, and as a result explain that the commission based pay will keep the staff motivated to sell more, because if they sell more they make more, and if they sell more the company of course generates more revenue automatically. So that's the evaluation part of it. So knowledge, application, analysis, evaluation, all in one. Make sure you complete the entire point. Whatever you have to write about it, you must write it. At least give each point half a page. With commission you can write maybe a little bit short of half a page, but you can write enough. Given case study, maybe there's enough topics, there's enough material in there to use as the basis of your answer. So take good care when you're writing these 8-mark answers. Also, you could give them promotion opportunities, giving them opportunities of delegation, empowerment. We've done this through HR that whenever you give them delegation empowerment, it's supposed to be motivational, and if it motivates them, of course their productivity levels will increase, and as a result they will end up getting new customers for BB. That's what they're looking for, right? So as a result, more new customers, and that's really the objective of this whole exercise. They want to get more customers for the business. Also, you can also explain fringe benefits, bonuses, profit sharing, as long as like they're launching a new bike. So if you sell enough bikes, you'll get a profit, or if you make enough profit from selling bikes, you'll get a certain percentage of the profit as payment. You could also use non-monetary reward if you like, by the way. They didn't say कि सिर्फ monetary rewards ही करें. If you can think of any non-monetary rewards, so जैसे delegation हो गई, opportunities, promotion हो गई, वो भी non-monetary हो गई. Also things like not job rotation, job enrichment, finding more challenging things for them to do at work. That's also something that will motivate them. Fringe benefits are things like company car, health insurance, things that are provided by the company that you would otherwise pay for from your own salary. So office car would be an example of fringe benefits. Club ki membership, fringe benefits, health insurance, those sort of things. Okay, so let's get to the last part. Now, this is a question that really asks you to evaluate the whole case study all over again and use all the information within it to justify your answer. So let's read it. Recommend which proposal for increasing revenue the directors of BB should choose. Justify your recommendation. Okay, now consider yourself to be the director of BB, and you're given proposals for increasing revenue, and you have to choose one. Now, of course, you'll have to justify recommendations. Why do you think that this one is the right choice. Okay, so throughout this, you've given opinions of three people, right? Leah, Munib, and John. And John is although a manager, but you can still use his suggestion as part of your answer. If you don't want to, that I think that would be okay. But since तीनों हैं, तो तीनों के all three proposals will have to be evaluated, sort of one against the other to see which one has the best chance of increasing the revenue for the business. And the way to do it would be to take one proposal, evaluate it completely, then go to the next one, then go to the next one, and never make the decision in the start of the answer. Always make the decision at the end. After you've properly analyzed all the different points in all the proposals, in the end you make a decision, and then you sort of reiterate, you dobara just sort of write down the reasons for choosing that particular decision or that proposal. Okay, so Munib, who was I think the managing director, what he was suggesting was we should open up a retail store. And what that allows you to do, it allows you to control the sales. You will produce as much as you expect to sell. आपकी अपनी दुकान है, you will manage all the selling expenses, all the marketing thing, everything will then be in control of the business. So that's a good thing. Whenever you get hold of maybe the next or the previous part of your production process, it gives you more control on the business. So that's a good thing. But the question mark is, do we even have the expertise for it? The company has never gone into retail. It's a completely different ball game. So they'll have to make some changes, retrain, hire to be able to meet those new demands of retail store. And the cost of opening store will also be a problem. We discussed the finance that the conversion will be $180,000, and on top of that $40,000 will be added to the annual cost of the business. So just cost of opening is also coming at a big financial investment for the company. Also, they currently have inventory issues. They need to improve that managing. They need to improve those issues. There's a lot of stock buildup. Maybe they're producing more than what's needed, and that could be improved through just-in-time inventory management system. If you remember, just-in-time from operations, you only order the amount that is needed for production of the orders that are there. You don't order extra, kuch extra storage nahi hoti, only the raw material that is needed. And of course, what that allows you to do is reduces the cost for the company and increases efficiency. We've done just in time. I hope you remember it. He also suggests that you should open the shop in factory. First of all, is it even possible? Who would come inside a factory to buy bicycle? Maybe that's, you want to ask yourself that question. But even with that, it will also reduce the inventory holding cost, because hoga kya, right now it's just a warehouse being used for storing bikes. Maybe you can use it for retail, and that will be a better use of capacity rather than just simply using it as a warehouse and stockpiling bicycles one over the other. So better use of factory will also be a result of this step taken by the business. And we discussed the financial part, what it will cost you to do. So throughout, of course, I'm talking about the application part, opening retail, inventory issues, shop, finance, and I'm analyzing how they are affecting the business all along. And this is just for proposal 1. Second one was by John. And John said, I don't like opening stores. We have no expertise in it. We don't know what we're about to do. So he's just not on board with it. He thinks that they should increase the sales effort. Find more ways to motivate them, which we discussed is part C of this case study. Okay. And what can be done is just push more through the retail stores. Tell them to buy more. Tell them to sell more. Market our product more. Display our bicycles in the front of the shop so that people buy more of our stores and they can supply to them, more frequently. So that's his solution to the problem. What that will do, there will be no additional cost of setting up a factory or setting up a store, hiring new people. It's just internal growth in a way of speaking. Just doing more of the same, more bicycles being sold by the same existing channels of distribution. So it's internal growth, not really costing any additional. And you already have the expertise in it, something that you've been doing. It's been working so far, and maybe we need to push that further to gain back that loss of revenue that has happened in the previous months. The third proposal by Leah was she wants to do a completely new product. So new product development is her suggestion. She wants to make foldable bicycles. Yes, it's going to be risky because it's a new venture, but the higher the risk, the higher the rewards, and that could be her her justification for this. By making foldable bikes, they're clearly targeting a niche market, something that not a lot of people are used to. You don't see them a lot on the road, but since she feels that it is generating a big buzz in the play, there's a lot of demand for it, then clearly it's something that they should look into, because by doing that they can charge a higher price, and also by charging a higher price you can increase the revenue just by increasing the amount of quantity. Since revenue is price times quantity, increasing the price should result in increase in revenue. However, increasing the price will be taken once you've determined the elasticity of that product. That's whenever you recommend a change in price, you must discuss it in line with elasticity. That's very, very important. Okay, there's also research to support that it's currently in demand, these new foldable bicycles. And just the review of the finances, that you will need 225,000 for capital cost, but it also adds to the revenue. So in a question like this, you must take each point in the proposal line by line and analyze it as to what it means for the business. Would it mean more profit, less profit, more hiring, less hiring, all those things. And in the end, the evaluation is your decision which proposal to choose and why. So in the end, pick one. I feel that John's idea is the best because that does not cost any extra money, and it provides another way of internal growth. Or I feel that Munib's way is the best way forward because it gives you control of the entire selling process, which will allow you to increase the revenue and reduce the cost wherever possible. So you will have to use different, whatever the different reasons are, you will use those in justification of why you think one proposal should be chosen over the other two. And that's how you evaluate this.